All right, the clock has struck 3 p.m. Central European Time. Welcome to today's webinar, 5 procurement case studies showing positive ROI from SRM. My name is Sam Jenks. I'm the Chief Growth Officer at Kodiak Hub, and I will be your host for today's webinar. I'm joined in addition by my colleague, Richard Teuchler, who's been absolutely instrumental in building today's content and will be aiding me in the background to answer your questions, but also to issue some very important polls. So keep your voting fingers ready. Lastly, we will be joined, as I often am, by my third co-host, a more talkative co-host, Charlie, the office dog. So if you hear him bark in the background, he's just adding his opinion or point of view to the day's content, and he can be rather opinionated. Additionally, I haven't yet received my mail and I'm working from home, so I can imagine that we get to hear Charlie have an appearance during the session. Short about Kodiak Hub, for those who don't know about us, Kodiak Hub is a cloud-based supplier relationship management suite that helps procurement and sourcing professionals just like you to build smart and sustainable supplier relationships with deeper sourcing insights in the form of robust ratings and analytics. Kodiak Hub provides an ecosystem and a modular suite that our users can be able to plug and play to manage supplier information, risk, compliance, performance, and collaboration all from one place. During the course of today's webinar, you will also become more thoroughly acquainted with the Kodiak Hub solution and better understand how our SRM technology has and continues to deliver positive ROI within our customers' global procurement teams. And with that said, I'm going to get into the agenda for today's webinar. During these next 40 to 45 minutes, I will thoroughly cover the following points. Currently, we are in the introduction. We're going to then shift into the day's content, starting with a section that I like to call No Pain, No Gain. Transitioning to a session on building the brand. 2 models to present ROI will be following. And then the meat and potatoes for today's session, as we like to say, 5 customer case studies displaying positive ROI of SRM, landing then finally in a live demonstration of the Kodiak Hub solution. After that, we will then have a Q&A for about 5 minutes. Again, if you guys have any questions during the day's session, don't be shy. Feel free to ask them in the chat bubble, and we will get around to those once we get into the Q&A. Without any further ado, let's get into the day's content. The question I want to start with is, how will we see any ROI from SRM? This is a common question you may recognize, right? It's a question that your procurement team has probably gotten when you're seeking additional budget for the development of processes and technology. And without clear and impactful value levers which show ROI, getting a fair share of your budget for any type of technology or CAPEX investments can be rather difficult, but especially in procurement. But why is this so difficult for procurement and sourcing to get budget? Well, this is what your board may think, or your management team, right? You've been getting by just fine with the ERP, Excel, and homegrown solutions. Why would we need to do an additional solution, add on an additional cost? You're doing a great job. Just keep it up. Well, the fact is, you feel the pain, so you'll feel the gain. Unfortunately, your exec board might not be inspired by the pain that you're feeling. They unfortunately speak the language only of gain. During this session, we'll be speaking in gain, giving your team enough ammunition and concrete rhetoric to make your case for developing an SRM program with the right people, processes, and technology so that you can be able to secure that investment that you are looking for. I want to stop, though, quickly for our first poll of today and understand what the temperature out there is, right? How many of you believe that your management team, your board of directors, those that you're going to for investment, truly understand the value of supplier relationship management? Take the time to go ahead and give the first poll of the session a vote today. How many of you in attendance believe that your management team or board understand the value of SRM? Unfortunately, it seems like most people are responding that they kind of do or that they don't, and you need to convince them. Well, hopefully we'll be able to help you out with that during today's session as well. Getting back to the content, if I share my screen here again. It's time to talk about the brand. Everybody knows already how to create a business case in this session, right? Everybody has able here to answer the questions. Well, how much will it cost? How much will we save? But very few know how to create the brand of a business case. We urge you to focus on this beyond calculating those ROI aspects of your business case. The financials aren't the full picture. Great business cases balance hard analytical and factual evidence with the purpose of a high-flying visionary entrepreneur, which you will need to act as when you're looking for investment. You need to inspire. A good way to inspire investment is to ensure that your business case has a brand. As Simon Sinek has said, a master marketer, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Sinek has a theory called start with why, which suggests that people are driven by purpose and that it's easier to inspire and lead when keeping why in focus, representing a motive or a purpose, followed by how, representing processes or methods, followed by what, representing results or outcomes. The majority of people and companies communicate from the outside in, from the what to the how to the why, telling others what we do, how we do it, and then why we do the things we do. He uses an example, however, of why Apple has been able to cut through the noise and inspire and remain so compelling within their brand, within their messaging. Paraphrasing from his presentation, which is a TEDx talk, that is a fantastic TEDx talk if you're inspired by checking it out on YouTube. He says that messaging from Apple might sound something like this. Everything that we do, we challenge the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. Our products are designed beautifully with user friendliness in mind. We just happen to make great computers also. In order to inspire investment, you will need to sell why you deserve it. Additionally, you will of course need to show your management team and the board that lacking processes, resources, and systems for managing supplier relationships is simply leaving money on the table. A good way to highlight ROI is to tie that development of your SRM program to recognizable challenges that are blocking you from addressing strategic goals and macro trends. Seen here in this illustrative table developed by Bureau, which I think is a great resource, that highlights how to leverage strategic goals and macro trends to your advantage when presenting the ROI of SRM. Identify the challenge, the SRM value driver, link it to strategy, as well as then show the benefits. You should aim to utilize a format like this to highlight that SRM is at the heart of risk management, resource efficiency, product innovation, quality management, supply chain delivery, sustainable development, cost savings, and so much more. With this being said, we're curious, what is it exactly that you are looking to gain from SRM? Please take the time to answer on the poll that we have on screen now. What exactly are you looking to gain from SRM? Don't be shy, go ahead and vote. And you don't need to just vote one of the responses. You can vote on multiple responses as well. If you feel so compelled to do so, feel free to respond on multiple activities in which you are looking for gain. I understand that some individuals are having issues with hearing me. I apologize if that's the case. The session, of course, is going to be recorded, and we've done some checks on the audio, and nothing has been strange for anyone that's in attendance in our team, so apologies for that. The responses are rolling in here, and it seems like it's a pretty even split across these different activities, which also shows that there's a whole lot to be gained from SRM, right? It's not just one particular area. And those gains are, a long burn, different things that are, really essential to the business. So it's cool to see that it is such a spread across the different respondents in this particular poll. Getting back into the day's session, another awesome method to highlight ROI is, of course, to try and benchmark. According to Vantage Partners survey results, it has been observed that high levels of SRM investments have been correlated with greater ROI. Seen on screen are results from an SRM program benchmarking study that was conducted by Vantage Partners in 2019. The majority of the companies belonged within this study to a revenue group between $1 billion US dollars to $10 billion US dollars. It was about 950 respondents representing more than 500 companies from various industries. The thing that's interesting here is that the average performers invested less and got less. Best in class decided to take a bet on SRM in their people, in their processes, in skills and upskilling, as well as their technology, and they have reaped the benefits. I'm curious, with understanding that this is kind of the benchmark for what businesses that are best in class are doing within SRM, what exactly do you see as your biggest gap within your SRM program or creating an SRM program today? Is it the people? Is it the process? Is it the technology or the strategy? Please take a moment to go ahead and respond. Nice, Katie, to hear that you got back online. Apologies that you had some initial issues there. I'm not sure what exactly it was, but nice to have you back. Hopefully others will be able to see that message and do the same, if so. So what is your biggest gap in SRM program today? Is it the people or talent? Is it your processes? Is it your technology, or is it your overall strategy? Seems like a pretty even spread, with the primarily process being one of the main hinders. And of course, process can be guided by technology. Technology can be guided by process. Without the right people, it's hard to build process. These things are so deeply intertwined. So I'm not all that surprised that one of these areas didn't run away from the others. Without any further ado, however, let's get into why everybody's here today. The 5 procurement case studies that show exactly how you too can start to be able to see some positive ROI from SRM. Hopefully these case studies will be able to inspire you with some language, some areas in which you can be able to also lift forward savings or gains so that you can also be able to attain the budget that you so deserve. For the first case study, we're going to be looking into our customer, HL Display. HL Display, for those of you who don't know about them, is a business who's helping retailers and brands around the world to create attractive and profitable in-store environments that strengthen the consumer's shopping experience. HL Display themselves has production sites in Sweden, Poland, China, and the UK, combined with sales units across more than 20 countries. The challenge that HL Display faced is a pretty normal one, right? They wanted to save time on supplier due diligence, risk assessment, and overall supply chain compliance. The group purchasing team also recognized that supplier due diligence was a real pillar to help them meet their sustainability goals. They had about 1,000 suppliers, and much of their data was localized or distributed on a broader ERP landscape, individuals' computers, or different spreadsheets, notes, emails. HL Display was really just having a hard time leveraging their supplier data in the most efficient way. Information was scattered, and the SRM processes required rather heavy manual work because they weren't aligned in one solution, which meant that supplier due diligence on an entire supply chain sometimes took as long as 8 to 10 months to gain any type of real clarity into their supply chain. By the time that they were ready to report, of course, it was time to start the process all over again. And this is unfortunately a a challenge that we see very often when customers come to us at Kodiak Hub. HL Display adopted the SRM solution that Kodiak Hub has to offer and centralized, onboarded, and collected supplier data, getting HL Display out of their localized solutions and databases into a consolidated platform where their purchasing team gained access and visibility in order to evaluate a more empiric set of supplier data and information. Additionally, HL Display leveraged solutions for self-assessment, onboarding, building different types of customized and configurable self-assessment templates with our dynamic drag and drop builder. They also combined this with our out-of-the-box global library of international and industry best practices to make sure that they were meeting legal and industry-specific requirements when it came to supply chain due diligence. HL Display, as a result, went from working 8 to 10 months to create, send out, and gather reports on suppliers in their supply chain compliance activities to 3 weeks, simply start to finish, from 8 to 10 months to 3 weeks. Through the application of better SRM software, the team also managed to meet their goals of 90% of supplier code of conduct compliance, which is a fantastic result, thus meeting their sustainability goals, actually exceeding their sustainability goals that they had set out for themselves as well. Moving into case study number 2, RWC, short for Reliance Worldwide Corporation. This business has its roots in Brisbane, Australia, where they set up a small tool shop all the way back in 1949. Fast forward to today, and they have over 2,000 employees globally, 31 distribution hubs, 16 manufacturing plants, and are servicing customers in over 60 countries throughout the world, mostly known for their innovations that they deliver high performance and time-saving solutions for plumbing and heating systems. Globally, they actually are the largest within this particular segment. The challenge that RWC faced was using a mix between their Access database and spreadsheets where they stored contracts or supplier information and various documentation related to suppliers. And this was messy, right? A little bit like HL Display, but with some of their supplier data being localized, not all the departments had access to the same data. And since the data was spread out, it was time consuming to fetch all of the necessary supplier information when needed. They had over 500 key suppliers, which made it also pretty hard for them to keep up on compliance certification tracks, as well as then contract checking and making sure that things were up to date, which is, of course, incredibly important related to those key or strategic partnerships. To keep up with the manual work, the purchasing team actually had one full-time employee who focused the bulk of her time on managing supplier information, documentation, and compliance. RWC had also decided on a global level that they were going to conduct more detailed reports on ESG metrics to meet various sustainability directives. And those directives are just continuing to come with LKSG, CSRD, CSDD. What they quickly ran into, though, was problems utilizing homegrown solutions to keep track of supplier engagement and the overall sustainability or ESG profiles of their supplier base. The solution, they adopted SRM solutions to help them capture, consolidate, and build a single source of truth for their supplier data. This gave the quality and procurement teams an access to dashboards and reporting functionality that they were able to easily view and also evaluate suppliers based upon the same data, the same KPIs, which created a real single source of truth for the organization and enhanced the overall visibility, as well as then a means to actually manage quality on site from legitimately quality data. With enhanced reporting, notification, and collaboration functions, RWC was also able to start approving suppliers in a much more efficient manner, creating massive time savings on supplier onboarding and qualification. With the help of Kodiak Hub's attribute library, automated templates, and third-party risk solutions, including credit ratings, their team was able to create a much more detailed view of their suppliers, also being able to gather in ESG metrics and to visualize a very 360-degree view of their supplier base, which built a really holistic understanding in the organization of where their suppliers were from a risk, compliance, and performance perspective. RWC then went on from having really one person that was fully focused on managing the day-to-day tasks, as well as additional team input that was focused on these day-to-day tasks, to really shifting that person's focus to strategic development, improving on their supplier-based performance. Efficiencies gained from Kodiak Hub have saved their team one full FTE worth of hours per year, which now can be spent on optimizing RWC's supplier collaboration and driving strategic purchasing initiatives within the organization. Insights gathered in Kodiak Hub have also enabled RWC to issue a more robust ESG report, which is giving them competitive edge and helping them with their customers to, sustain a sustainable brand in which they are. It's included then metrics also that they were having troubles with following up on, like emissions, modern day slavery, waste, reach, ROS, wash, and so much more. With the help of Kodiak Hub, RWC can now track sustainability KPIs, set targets, and drill down on how to reduce the impact of their global supply chain. And they can do so fast from one solution, keeping them focused on the right stuff at the right time. Moving into case study number 3, Midsona. Midsona is a strong brand in the Nordics that you might recognize. They have a slew of different brands underneath their group, such as Kung Markatta and others. You might recognize their products from pharmacies, health stores, gyms. They're also selling online, of course, really helping as a fast-moving consumer goods company to help people lead a healthier life with many of their products. Currently, they're a leader in the Nordic region, and they are working towards becoming a leader in Europe. I know that they're also in the Netherlands and the DACH region as well. The challenge that Midsona had was really that they were working with a lot of different suppliers across the world in a lot of different ways, unfortunately. And they had a fast-growing supply chain. Each region was operating and responsible for their suppliers, which led to several different ways of working, right? They were keeping track of quality assurance in different ways. This turned into a lot of inefficiencies when they were looking to onboard new suppliers and to map out supplier risks and performance, or to conduct on-site audits, which they, of course, in their industry need to do. In 2019, they made a strategic choice to start managing all of their suppliers from a central sourcing and quality organization. They knew that they had to get better at gathering all the data and information into one place, where all regions would still have flexibility and autonomy when they needed it. With the help of Kodiak Hub, Midsona was able to create the fine balance that so many businesses are looking for between governance at a central level and trust for those working at a local level, creating frameworks in Kodiak that all of their regions could work within, but still aggregating data into a central solution for enhanced group visibility. The collaboration tooling also made it a lot easier for the business to follow up on whenever data was missing or documents were expiring or corrective actions needed to be addressed, which really strengthened their buyer to supplier communication, but also the communication and collaboration internally. The supply chain risk functionality also gave them a lot of understanding of the contextual risks associated with various suppliers in various regions of the world. Together with Kodiak Hub's integrated third-party data sources, Midsona, as well as then Midsona's own work within supplier self-assessments on the platform, they compiled data into really robust supplier scorecards and gave them a clear picture of where the category risks were in their supply chain, but also where the opportunities for better performance were, or where suppliers were already performing really well. The adoption of Kodiak Hub's SRM platform really led Midsona to experience a significant improvement in collaboration, not only between their buyer and supplier, but also within the quality and the purchasing organizations, as they were able to work a lot closer and gained a greater understanding for one another's needs and challenges, as well as were able to align around common KPIs that they were working towards. They've seen that their everyday supplier management work has become a lot more efficient, and they've been able to qualify suppliers as well as approve suppliers a lot quicker. But more so than anything, they've also been able to spot risks a lot faster, right? Being notified about high risk suppliers and also what it is that is constituted as a high risk supplier has been aligned across the business. Today, the on-site audits as well that Misona conducts are based on what it is that they see in the Kodiak Cloud platform rather than anything else. And it's all documented and fed back into dashboards, getting ROI also out of those audits. That's really what is at the essence of knowing your supplier. And a lot of the focus of what we're trying to help our customers to do. A lot of the focus of what SRM is able to help you to do is to get closer to the pulse of your supply chain. Moving into case study number 4, Swisslog, part of the KUKA group. It is a global business that some of you might know with its roots in Switzerland. It is one of the leading logistics automation companies, delivering data-driven and robotic solutions for logistics automation alongside reliable modular service concepts. They employ over 2,400 people across 20 different locations headquartered in Switzerland. The challenge that they had, well, they had a few nagging challenges. Their current solution for supplier performance evaluation and rating was too manual, something that we all recognize, right? It was time consuming and cumbersome. They needed a more advanced tool which would build a process-oriented workflow that was flexible enough for anyone to learn and start to use quickly rather than too many spreadsheets, right? In parallel, they needed a system which could also be integrated with their internal data sources and their supplier audit management. A common need to pull data from existing solutions, homegrown tools, external data sources, and supply chain data into one view. Lastly, they didn't have 2 years to spare, right, to implement a new solution. They needed something that would be up and running a whole lot faster than that. The solution primarily came in 2 waves. Wave number 1, Swisslog had 6 different main data sources which they wanted to integrate into one view. SAP for procure to pay, vendor MDMs, POs, invoices, etc. All of their supplier contracts, which were located in SharePoint, sustainability and ESG assessments in Integrity Next, supplier financial ratings in Dun & Bradstreet, as well as then other data sources where they just simply had supplier information. With Kodiak Hub's versatile integration, Swisslog was able to get all their data sources integrated via APIs into the Kodiak Hub platform, giving them a centralized view. Wave 2 was to start working with that data, right? To start solving some of those previous headaches that they've had with supplier performance evaluation and audit management. They needed to build out a smart, yet a simple and data-driven supplier rating process, which really was fit to their unique performance management needs. Together with Swisslog, Kodiak Hub created a process flow with underlying criteria which resulted really in a flagging system, red, amber, green, which allowed them to make decisions fast and also create more robust overall supplier ratings, but give them that simplicity that they needed to be able to drive users towards decisions fast. This has, of course, impacted the way in which they're able to work with supplier development and ultimately segment their supplier base so they can be able to take actions in a more agile manner. The previous data that they had from supplier performance ratings and audit management in Excel could now also be transferred into Kodiak. And going forward, of course, they're going to be able to use Kodiak solutions for supplier performance management, as well as then supplier auditing to continue to collect that data and make sure that it's not just sitting around, but it's also being utilized to continue to segment their supplier base in a more automated manner. The result ultimately is that Swisslog made a significant leaps in automating their supplier performance evaluation. They also now have a more robust setup for supplier ratings, the process and the workflow, as well as then how they can be able to flag where action is needed and things are needed to be tracked, measured, or rated. This helps them to better understand which suppliers that they should be collaborating with and which are going to also be able to foster innovation within their supply chain. So they're creating, in essence, more data-driven supplier development programs with the best suppliers over time. The 5th and final case study, Cloetta. Cloetta, founded back in 1862, is a leading confectionery company. If you like sweets and you're located in the Nordics or Northern Europe, you know who Cloetta is. Their products are sold in more than 50 countries worldwide, with a really stronghold within the Nordics, as well as Netherlands, Germany, and the UK. They own some of the strongest brands on the market, such as Läkerol, Cloetta, Candy King, Genki, Kex Choklad, Malaco, Sport Life, Red Band. You know who Cloetta is. They have 7 production units in 5 countries, and their company is traded on the Nasdaq Stockholm mid-market. The challenge that Cloetta had was that they were looking for something to give them better insights into a global supply chain. And at the same time, they were previously outsourcing their supplier relationship management to a third-party vendor, which made it really difficult for them to source in an agile manner, to take action on rapid changes that were happening in their supplier base. Cloetta wished to take the next step in their organizational change and take things in-house. And with that, they needed to adopt a user-friendly platform that the team could be able to start utilizing. They also, at the same time, wanted to streamline the activities that they had, which they felt to be a bit clunky, related to supplier approvals, which they thought could be able to not only create an edge for them when it came to compliance, but also in increased cost savings, being able to have better insights into the supplier base from the start. Additionally, Cloetta had several suppliers, has several compliance levels audited at several times every year by an external body. In the food production space, of course, this is important as they handle a large amount of raw materials directly purchased by consumers. So there's really no room for error. The quality compliance is massive within their business. As a solution, they adopted Kodiak Hub, bringing their supplier management in-house under one hood into a consolidated platform. Kodiak's team aided Cloetta to customize several features, basically focusing in on their industry-specific needs within food production, enabling their team as well to store supplier data and quickly align on global processes for governing suppliers' compliance and ensuring quality across the business in all of the countries where they are operating, with a better 360-degree view as well of the supplier's performance. Together with different types of customized notifications, Cloetta was able to get closer to their pulse of their supply chain than ever before. The real result was that they had more sleek and user-friendly dashboards to monitor suppliers. And with the help of Kodiak Hub, they were able to meet 100% supply chain compliance, making their team increasingly proactive, spending less time on the due diligence of the supplier base and the supply chain, and more time on supplier collaboration and development. By providing a real reliable platform that gave them new sourcing insights in a simple and understandable way as well, Cloetta has been having excellent results when not only having its supplier compliance levels audited every time, several times a year, but also additionally building a positive global alignment in processes and an adoption as well with more user-friendly UIs and UX. They've been able to have new structure, a new commonality, a new way of working across procurement, sustainability, and quality departments, which has given them massive cross-functional gains in the organization as well. So there you have it, 5 case studies that show the positive ROI of SRM. So what have we learned, right? Well, at Kodiak Hub, we typically like to speak about ROI being driven by technology, people, processes in 3 dimensions, really. With the customers that have adopted Kodiak Hub, they start their journey towards smart, sustainable, and strategic supplier management. And these are typically the 3 value levers that our customers draw upon and experience as well as far as gains. It's also a great way for you to be able to communicate how it is that you see gains to be had in your business when seeking investment for SRM. The first level, strategic. At a strategic level, SRM can enhance top-line value and help to avoid shareholder brand loss as well, which can prevent anywhere from 1% to 3% market cap losses and giving also a competitive edge against your competitors out there. Step 2, or level 2, at a tactical level, SRM improves negotiation power, the control of spend, and also can lower total cost of ownership, which can lead to total spend savings. It allows you to go into your negotiations really with more insights, more control, more overview, and allows you also to cut down on maverick spending as you have more alignment in the team on processes. Last bit is then operational value, the day-to-day savings, right? It allows you to not only align on processes, but automates the busy work, which can lead to FTE savings. In the spirit of not just talking about it, but also being about it, I would also like to switch over my screen here now to provide a brief demonstration of the Kodiak Hub solution and display also how supplier management solutions can aid your team to drive sourcing excellence and ROI in various dimensions. But before I do so, I would like to pause for our last poll. I know that we're going to get into a demonstration, but it's only going to be about 5 to 10 minutes of demonstrating the solution. So I'm curious if you would be interested in a further demonstration of the platform. Please let us know if you're interested in a further demonstration in the coming weeks. Please just simply say yes on screen now, and we'll make sure to get in touch with you. And if you're not, then please do respond not right now. Please go ahead and take a moment to respond on screen if you're interested in getting a demonstration of the platform at a later point in time. We'll be in touch with you following today's session. Very well. I'm going to switch over my screen. About 5 to 10 minutes, we can demonstrate the solution. We're not going to be able to get super duper deep into the functionality of the platform, but we can absolutely try our best to be able to highlight some of the key functionalities. As we see our suppliers around the globe, we can be able to see those individual supplier profiles as well as then country risk profiles from this particular view. It's also a great visualization tool to better understand where our suppliers are located, and we can be able to utilize different types of typifications or categorizations to quickly find or locate supplier groupings. For example, a category subsegment that I'm working with, well, I want to be able to quickly find, great, then I can find those suppliers on this particular overview. And from here, I can also jump directly into those supplier scorecards as I would like to as well. Another way of visualizing supplier data, getting you out of your spreadsheets into a more dynamic solution, is that you can be able to visualize your supplier data in the list format. As you see here, you can be able to quickly visualize your supplier data, whatever that might be, and you can be able to also typify or segment your suppliers based upon things like the rating methodology, pre-saved lists that you have of your suppliers, or, for example, different types of typifications or segmentations that you might have of your individual suppliers as well. The different types of headers or columns, we help our customers to be able to configure based upon their unique data, so the data in the solution is built upon your particular supplier data. From here, we can add new suppliers, we can import supplier data, we can export supplier data as we would like to. This is where the insights, the information, the data, the documentation, as well as then the supplier scorecards lie underneath the Insights tab. Underneath Impact, this is where we can be able to impact the relationship. We can be able to manage supplier self-assessments, audits, performance evaluations, but also we can be able to manage different types of actions in the collaboration space. The use case or the flow for the user is very similar between the assessments, audits, and evaluations. You're able to draft templates, which are sleek and easy for you to be able to build in the drag and drop builder. What you can also be able to do, of course, is then send these things out very quickly. You have an overview entirely of who it is that's responding, who it is that's not responding. You can be able to quickly enroll and schedule out these different activities in the campaigns, so you can be able to address the right KPIs or the right requirements to the right types of suppliers quickly, again, utilizing the filtering capability to quickly do so. In reports, you can dive deeper into where suppliers are doing well, those that have been flagged. You can be able to see a quick view of this data or dive into deeper reports whenever you would like to as well. And you can also, from various interfaces, dive into supplier scorecards as well. The supplier scorecards are really a control center for a single supplier. It's where we're able to locate and find supplier data that's been shared with us, been uploaded in the solution, pulled over via the ERP solution, or alike. This is also the data that can be shared by the supplier with us in templates that we've provided them with. Note-taking capability exists. As you see here, you can be able to take a note. Another user can also take notes. You can also be able to see the name as well as then the audit trail of when that user has left a note for you here as well. Some of the softer elements to the relationship. Third-party data is visualized on the right-hand side. So here we can quickly be able to get a view of the credit stability of this particular supplier. This is driven by third-party data. The simple data input of the VAT or company registration number allows you to also have in this same 360 view the credit stability of the supplier as well. Media insights, you can be able to do quick searches on a business, so you can be able to get up any type of either regular media in the feed, as you see here, or adverse media of that supplier. Additionally, you can also do Safe Source Premium checks, and the Safe Source Premium is going to be able to give you an understanding of a little bit more information about that business, as well as then a sanctions and politically exposed persons watch. Here you can be able to see any linked subsidiaries that are linked to the main entity, which you might be working with, as well as then individually politically exposed or special interest persons that have also then been listed associated with this particular business. You're also able to understand what it is that they've been listed for, what are their roles in the business, as well as then what are other companies that they might be linked to. A quick and easy way to be able to keep an eye on different subsidiaries, different types of articles or news that might be flagging up this business, and really a robust ability to be able to do that automated third-party risk management from financials, media, as well as then sanctions perspective. If you're trying to understand the risks that might exist in a country, well, you can do so very quickly here by understanding the safe source rating. That rating is then pulling from over 29 internationally recognized indices, the UN, ILO, World Bank, Fitch Ratings, and many others, to give you a snapshot of social, environmental, and financial risks of a country. The risks related to the individual business of the supplier is the sustainable business practices. Here you can be able to better understand how a supplier is faring, because the responses that are coming back from a self-assessment or a qualification assessment, whether it's related to ESG aspects, different types of industry-specific aspects, InfoSec, cybersecurity, whatever you might be utilizing the assessment capabilities for, you can be able to quickly see a snapshot of a supplier's risk profile, how they're doing, where it is that they need to improve, or where it is that they're doing well. What you can also be able to leverage the rating methodology for is to be able to spot trends over time. Is a supplier getting better or getting worse within the different areas in which we want them to improve? And of course, you can also be able to see the performance rating here and how the performance of a single supplier is progressing as well. All of these rating profiles are then aggregating up, as you see in the top view, to a global rating, which we see of that supplier. Again, the focus is that you spend less time trying to find individual data points and more time taking strategic decisions about your supplier base based upon different data that you're able to gather quickly. Documentation we can find fast, whether that's contract documentation or certification documentation. All of this documentation we can be able to quickly understand who it is and when it has been uploaded by. Expiry dates, of course, trigger notifications and alike. And anything that's been shared with us by the supplier, we can be able to also see directly here in the document space, as well as then any communication that's ongoing with the supplier. The communication, we can be able to find very quickly those corrective actions or development focused actions based upon their status or their type. And we can be able to also issue new actions directly from this particular interface. What we have here is then a quick and easy way to be able to communicate back and forth with the supplier. So say that we see something that needs corrective action, well, we can be able to take that corrective action in a very simple and sleek collaboration space where we have a chat bubble back and forth. Everyone can be able to share documents between the buyer and the supplier, and those documents can also be reposited in a nice fashion with the typification and expiry date when needed. Things can be pushed forward or backward in the process, so there is also then control over the process of this particular corrective action as well. What you also then have is not only the ongoing actions, but also archived actions in the scorecard, as well as then overviews, so you can be able to keep communication, collaboration, documentation, as well as then the risk and performance profile all in the same view in the solution that Kodiak Hub has to offer. If you'd like to learn more, feel free to go back and respond on the the chat bubble poll. That was the last the last poll that we asked. Would you like to see an extended demo of Kodiak Hub in the coming weeks? Additionally, though, if you have any questions about today's content or about our services at Kodiak Hub, please feel free to write them down into the chat bubble now. I will then pause for about 2 to 3 minutes, and we then will move into the question and answer section of the session. So please feel free to ask any questions that you might have, again, about today's session.